I never ask people, hey man, how does this stuff look to you? Sometimes I'm going to ask you, how does this stuff that's going on here, right? It's, hey, all we can do, here's where we are. We're right at the tipping point where it's already tilted. The U.S. got a shattered policy. It's got a shattered policy because it's an old empire. It's an old empire that's got a lot of things messing it up. It can't treat Chinese like equals because they're arrogant about their China's, right? So China's whooping they behind, but they can't accept it yet. It's just like the big shows where you see the Chinaman whooping the white man. You have to defeat him before he even, and then he won't admit. Right. You know what I mean? That he's been whooped by a Chinaman. But this is one of those historical, at a certain time in history, I watched it first with big Negroes and people going up with sports guys, you know, like our sports guys do all their training, they start getting big, then they start making mistakes on their own. You know what I mean? They start making mistakes on their own. Since I was in drugs, I used to watch the Oakland Raiders. They started using drugs. Okay, you don't have to worry about something gonna happen after that, you know. And then when you start using drugs like cocaine, you start getting loose in your game. And when you get a whole lot of money and you mix the drugs and you mix the money together and you mix hunger, you know, or like they said, stay hungry, you're not hungry anymore. And pretty soon you see a guy or a group of guys that had all the talent in the world, and all of a sudden it starts drifting away. And only a few of them can get back, you know what I mean? A few of them get back to where they can perform admirably. That's true in the big political game too. You know, when a system starts moving along and it can't do anything wrong. America, when it jumped off, it couldn't do nothing wrong. It just couldn't do nothing wrong. Although it did everything wrong, it still, history was going its way. Oh, 13 colonies, all manifest destiny. Oh, manifest destiny, just kill. We'll kill all the buffaloes. Right. We'll just kill all of them because they kill the buffalo, then the Indian gotta go. Right? If we leave the buffalo, why the Indian can run around and fight and eat and have a house to stay in because it's his whole show, right? So let's see what we do. Whoa, we'll send people out on trains. They sent white folks out on trains with Henry rifles, those are very good rifles, to slaughter buffalo. Right. And then they changed the style. Back east, buffalo robes, Europe, buffalo robes, right? And then after that, buffalo robes go out of style when there ain't no more buffaloes, right? And the Indians all on reservations. And we're so, see, the white man is so mean. Okay, the Indians is on reservations, okay, finish. No, I didn't know. We go get them boys some smallpox and everything else with whooping cough, anything else we can sprinkle that they knew on them blankets, and they get it. That's satanic. You know what I mean? That's not warfare, normal warfare. That's just satanic. But anyway, so they did all that. World War I, shoot all the... No, when they wanted more colonies, when the West was won, they say the frontier closed down in about 1876 in America. Maybe it's 1886, but no more frontier. So what, 15 years later, remember the Maine. Everybody running up San Juan Hill, most of them Negroes, of course. Right. they don't say nothing about that. At least Roosevelt, he didn't say nothing about it. At first he said, them niggas is the one that did this. Then when he run for president, he kind of forgot that it was the Negroes. It was real Rough Riders. They wasn't even Rough Riders, they was rough walkers. Because, no, they had to leave their horses on, they had to leave their horses. That's why they was marching. When you see them black soldiers marching in 1898, they're marching, that's because they left, they couldn't bring their horses with them. Because they was cavalry. Remember the old movies we watched, the cavalry riding in to save everybody? Right. In the West, I had no idea. I saw a movie in 1960, 61, called Sergeant Rutledge. You ever see that movie?
I've seen that, yeah.
The Woody Strode? That was a good movie. It was a good movie. It was a good movie.
Right.
But you know what? Up until then, I had absolutely no idea that 60% or more of all, when the cavalry rode in, it was Negro soldiers. The 9th and 10th Cavalry, right? Was all Buffalo soldiers. I was just watching the regular white folks movies. I thought all the people, when the cavalry rode in, they blow their trumpet, and it was white folks. Guess what? 60% of the time, or more, it was Negroes. Hey, man. Anyway, but that ain't nothing. The boss man just got the Philippine colonies, Virgin Islands, liberated Cuba, and they blew up his own Maine and what's her name? Right. It's okay. Just going his way. World War I, no problem. The first arsenal of democracy, the white folks fighting over there, no problem, 3,000 miles away, hey, we'll produce over here, and we'll get rich off y'all. And then at the end, they send troops in. Guess what troops fought the hardest and last the longest in World War I? Black troops, Harlem Hellfighters, right, 369, 371. They didn't even let the Negroes fight in American uniform. They put them in a French uniform. And the French loved, that's why after World War I, there's so many black people, like even James Baldwin, and his house was in France. Why all the musicians, they go to France. Josephine Baker lived in France. You know, why? Because the French loved black people. Why? Because the French had lost so many soldiers in World War I, right, fighting the Germans. They asked the Americans, hey, y'all got all those guys digging all them ditches and stuff, or could we borrow them, or could we use them niggas? They said, yeah, you could have them. So they said, y'all leave your white folks' uniform here and put on a French uniform. And them Negroes fought harder and longer and got a record of being in the trenches longer than anybody, and they didn't get that until 1917. And the war ended in 1918. Boy, I'm trying to tell you. So America, hey, my country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. I'm telling you, man, anything it did, it just was fine. World War II, same thing. Hey, y'all fighting over there, not a bomb drop on America, the arsenal of democracy, right? And after World War II, they got all the money, they never lost a thing, and they could rebuild the world, and they could run the world. They did a bad job. Everything went their way. But when the pendulum changes, you can't do nothing right. Donald Trump is an example of that, right? He's just an example of America now. It don't make no difference why he do it or what. He's not doing it right, period. Whatever's good for America, he ain't doing it. He's just not doing it. You don't have to analyze it and say, well, let's just don't worry about it. Don is not doing anything right. Can you imagine what America, well, you can imagine because they say it, why is America, how is it the great America, and it can't fix nothing? Why, you know, now it's getting serious. This 165, almost 170,000 people, right? Because there's 1,000 dying a day at least. So it's creeping up on 170,000 people dead. Okay. A lot of people saying, hey, it says it's all Mexicans, Latinos, and blacks, and old people.
And Native Americans.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
Why all these people? You know what I mean? And just a minute, you know, like conspiracy theory is nothing. These are all the people died, and then they put one or two nice white folks that just died on the news. So you would think that most of the people dying, although you hear every day, it's mostly black people, it's mostly Latinos, Native Americans dying like flies, old people dying. They show you a few nice white folks that died every day on the news. Oh, this guy played the fiddle and he died, and his family loved him, right? That's what they show you. So you have it in your mind that it's white folks dying. Although you're hearing all day long that it's black people, Native Americans, and Latinos dying. And the math would say that, but this math is getting out of hand. We know black people have bad health and low representation and this, that, and the other, but it ain't that bad. And we know Latinos run across the border, they don't have a lot of stuff, and we know that's bad. We know there's disease, alcoholism, drug addiction on a reservation is worse than anywhere in the United States. Right. It's just so bad. It's a statistic that you just don't want to review because you already know it's bad. Okay, but it's not that bad where it's 3 and 4 times the amount of people dying. You know, that's getting up there.
They don't even mention white people. They say, now they're saying it's reaching the rural areas. So that means white people.
Yeah.
See, whatever you do, if they come for me in the morning, they're going to come for you tonight. That happened on opiates, on heroin for us, and opiates for them. It don't make no difference, whatever it is. It's still going to catch the people. That's why you stop wrong right away, as early as possible. But anyway, let's get back to what we've been dealing with. So Stalingrad Ultra, the message was and is that there's a tilt in history. All of this bad stuff that's been happening, okay, now it's tilting. It's tilting, and it's tilted, already tilting. I use the term when you put an undercut under a tree and you cut like this, and then you start cutting from the back, and you put that wedge in, and you start hitting it, you cut a little more and hitting it. Pretty soon, that tree tilts, pop. No matter how tall it is, when it tilts up there, and it's all over, when you hear that boy crack down the middle, finish. There's no comeback. America is cracked. It's already tilted. The spine of America is gone. It is so everything that America was is not no more. Now we want to separate the policies of America from the people of America, although there's still a semi-connection. What we want to do is we want to reduce, we've always wanted to reduce the debt, people. But you know what, there's a certain reality. We studied the white man too, and like for instance, always talk about being a target, and I talk about medicine. Okay, when I used to travel years ago, I mean, it's over 50 years, yeah, it's a while back, I carried a medical dictionary with me. Those nice ones, those very expensive, kind of nice ones. It has everything alphabetical order. It has all the diseases, it has all the medicines. It has all the real color pictures with the little plastic there. You know, for your insides, and you could take one back and it's less inside than the other. I had all of those. And I used to travel with those because of, I was in all kind of tropical climates. So I would be in South America, and I would be in Africa, and I would be in Asia. I would be everywhere in the world. And I knew I was from, you know, the West. And I would be susceptible to many things, you know, because if you go to Mexico one day, that people call it Montezuma's disease, you get diarrhea and all of that stuff.
Don't drink the water.
Don't drink the water. It just so happens, hey, when I was in Africa, everybody got sick but me. Amoebas, they had everybody. You could see in what's the name's film where they malaria. I think they would get malaria. Pete and Charlotte would have malaria. They'd be just getting over it. When I was in East Africa, all the brothers and sisters from here had something. But they were all from the University of Boston, and they were like Northern Negroes. They were all, in fact, almost everybody was a Northern Negro. You know, black nationalists, they went up north. But I was born in Arkansas. I was born right, the bayou was right there. All the bugs so I was 6 years old when I left. And I was trying to figure out why I don't never get nothing. Well, everything that you would get, we would get it down there. You know, like all the childhood diseases, measles, mumps, chicken pox. We got all those. Did y'all get, y'all got all those? Man, we got all of those stuff. People would get worms and they'd have to take medicine. We got all of it. You know, our body was built up for all of that stuff. So I would wonder why I never get amoebas. What the hell, we drink the water out of the bayou. You know, we drink, they said, don't drink the water. We had immunity. This is what I was feeling. But I would read, I would study those very carefully. And I mean, they were good, you know, it was almost so thin, it was like that old-time Bible paper. It was good, a good book though. And if I wanted to, if anything come up on me, which it rarely did, I would know, I would have a kind of idea of how to treat myself. So, in looking for treatment, I would look up, I would look on all the medicines, and one of them was some diet pills, and they had B-fetamina. I said, B-fetamina? This thing has 2 amphetamines in it. I said, this is crank. And realize crystal is methadone crystals. That's what it is, the medicine. Not only one, B-fetamines. So I said, hey man, I bet you if I feel tired a little bit, hey man, I would just take a little diet pill, put a little bit, I wouldn't take my, just put a little bit on my tongue, come off and roll it all day long. Because B-fetamina, you know, and I'm living on a fruit diet, Hey man, believe it or not, I was down to 165 pounds. I was almost middleweight. I mean, with muscles and everything, imagine I could do pull-ups with one finger almost. You know, I mean, I had roommates sometime that was mountain climbers, and they get over the door, you know, and they do pull-ups with their fingers on them doggone doors. And I was doing them too. I couldn't do them now, of course. But I mean, I was that poor, that skinny from, you know, beef aminas. And never tired. I mean, just when you don't get tired, because all you do is touch a little. And it's a diet pill, but real diet pills, not these things up here. You can take a bottle of them and still be hungry. Hey man, them beef aminas, hey man, 10 could last you 6 months because you can't take no whole, I couldn't take no, I just put a little bit like here on the capsule. And boom, I'm rolling all day and never tired. Okay, so the point is that I got used to kind of treating myself for different things because it would have the disease and the treatment, you know. So I got used to that. The other thing is the social and the psychological and the historical diseases. They also have their occurrence. They occur at a certain time in history. They occur, and then there's a treatment, usually. The only thing is, the participant historically, in the Bible, in the Quran, in the history books, they never take the treatment. You don't find but one place, historically, the people of Nineveh, 100,000 or more, the people of Nineveh. Right. They took the treatment. They took the treatment. In other words, they accepted the prophet. Now, in the Bible now, I don't know, I think I read y'all that in the Bible, the Bible part, the prophet was so mad because people had accepted the treatment that he was mad because they accepted the treatment. That's in the Bible, not in the Quran. But anyway, we don't have generally people historically accepting and using the treatment. That means America is not